Hi guys, my name is Lindsay Stevenson and I'll be showing you how to do Lincoln-Douglas debate. So the first thing we're going to talk about are the needs to knows, or I guess need to knows. Let's see, we have the resolution, the value and criterion, your case, and your contentions. So the first one we'll talk about is the resolution. Now, the resolution is pretty much usually just a sentence, maybe two sentences with very specific words, kind of explaining what you're debating. Or I guess it is what you're debating. Some examples are civil disobedience is unjust, or the United States ought to provide a universal basic income. And a lot of the times you don't know every single word in the resolution, or sometimes there's like confusing definitions, like what is civil disobedience? How would you define it? And so you're going to have to define some of those words and include them in your case. So then we have value and criterion. The value and criterion are the main morals that back up your entire case. If these things get destroyed, your case is essentially gone. But these morals can include, typically the value is the biggest one. We have like the value of justice or life or liberty or happiness or quality of life, or utilitarianism sometimes is a value. But then criterions are kind of things that like help you carry through the value. Like the criterion, we can have utilitarianism, teleology, a lot of just philosophical things like evidence and support. Then we have your case. Now, I've kind of said this word a lot, but it's pretty much just your first speech. Now, we'll talk about times in a second, but your first speech is the only one you have pre-written. And mine typically are around 10 to 20 pages. Now, that sounds like a lot, I know, but a lot of it is just cold, hard evidence being packed in there. Lots of quotes from reliable people, reliable sources, facts, philosophical ideas, stories, anecdotes, all those things that you need to prove your opponent wrong. So, and then I also included af and neg. I just bolded those so we could talk about those later. And then we have contentions. Think of those like your body paragraphs in your essays. They're just the things where you pack all the evidence in, tell the stories, after the introduction but before the conclusion. So then moving on, we have af, neg, and more. So pretty much just to start, af and neg are pretty self-explanatory. Af is the affirmative or the affirmation, like if you say, I stand in firm affirmation of today's resolution. That's how you'd introduce your resolution. Or if you're on the neg side, which is the negative or the negation, you'd say, I stand in firm negation of today's resolution. So just to kind of tell you how this would look, we have a resolution example, and for this I put the United States government ought to end social distancing nationally. Now, of course, this one isn't real. I just made this up. But it uses a lot of the same terms as a real resolution would. And you see ought, that's a big one. And then you see I underlined these next two, and those are typically the words you define, are the words that could be, I guess, interpreted differently. Like if someone says social distancing, does that mean, staying 6 feet apart, or does that mean like home lockdown orders, So you'd have to find a good definition to uphold your case, because there could be some confusing arguments. So then, just to kind of close things off, for basics, I guess, these are the times that you'll have for each of your speeches. So whether you're af or neg, that's decided before your round at the tournament, but you need to have both speeches prepared because you'll be doing both at the tournament. So first we have the 1AC, the one affirmative constructive, which is the speech that you've already pre-written, and that's a 6-minute speech. And then you have cross X, which is pretty much where the negative will ask you questions about your speech, and that's a good time for you to try and trap your opponent, I guess like passive-aggressively. And then you have the first negative constructive and / rebuttal, I would say, which is 7 minutes. So usually you speak for about 4 to 5 minutes. You read your case for 4 to 5 minutes, and then you rebut the affirmative for the last few minutes that you have. And that is a really hard one to get the timing perfect. But once you get better at it, it'll become a lot easier to recognize how much time you've used. And then you have another cross X where the affirmative asks the negative questions. Then you have a rebuttal from the affirmative. I called it the 2AC, but I should have called it the first rebuttal from the affirmative, which is 4 minutes. Then we have the second speech from the negative, which is a rebuttal and a closing statement. That is 6 minutes, my bad. And then we have the final speech of the affirmative, the 3AC. I guess it's not a constructive, but that's only 3 minutes. And I know it looks like the affirmative has a lot more speeches, but the times all add up and they all equal out. And yeah, that's pretty much it that I can go over for basics. Good luck. If you have any questions, direct message Ogden High's debate account where this is being shown, or message Mrs. Udy, our debate captain of Ogden High, or even ask me on my Instagram page. Direct message me at violins02. But yeah, happy debating.